talked about a fair amount of anime on this channel, from things that I like to things that I don't. But we've never talked about something that I felt conflicted on, until today. The series that we are going to discuss is one that I own in its entirety, and I read it very quickly. I was super enthralled in the series, and I needed to see how it ended. Although, it did make me very frustrated while reading. What we are discussing today is the manga for Quintessential Quintuplets. 5 Toben no Hanayome, or 5 Equal Brides in English. Wait a minute, that's not the name of the series. I guess the translators just said F it, alliteration. I respect it. 5 Toben no Hanayome, or as we call it, Quintessential Quintuplets, or Quints for short, was written by Negi Haruba. It was first serialized in Kodansha's Weekly Shonen magazine from August 2017 to February of 2020. The first season of the anime aired from January to March of 2019, and the second season aired from January to March of 2021. And there was even a movie that came out in May of 2022.
The story revolves around Uesugi Futaro, a high school student known for his exceptional grades. His family is very poor, however, so he has to save money wherever he can. One day while in the cafeteria, he tries to sit in his normal spot, but a girl attempts to fight him over it. He can tell by the size of her lunch that she is a rich girl and immediately takes a dislike for her, so when she asks him to tutor her upon seeing his test scores, he ignores her and walks away. Later, Futaro is informed that his dad landed him a tutoring job that will pay 5 times the normal fee, but when he gets to this job, not only does he find the girl he brushed off earlier, but also her 4 identical sisters.
The plot of the series is super straightforward. Futaro has to tutor these identical quintuplets, and at the beginning they are very opposed to this idea, but as the series progresses, they warm up to it more and even develop romantic feelings. It's very standard harem affair, but there is one big element that sets this series apart.
The series opens up not at the beginning of the story, but at the end, where Futaro is marrying one of the Quints, but you don't know who it is because they are all identical. Sounds like a good way to cover up having same face to me.
This is the draw of the series. Negi will constantly dangle a carrot in front of your face, making you think he is giving you an ounce of a hint, but he is messing with your head. The mystery of who Futaro marries is the driving force of the series. But a harem is only as good as the girls that are within it. So, let's take a look at the Nakanos individually.
The technical oldest of the sisters is Ichika. Her name is made up of the Japanese words for one and flower, which are ichi and ka, respectively. Ichika sucks on toast. She is awful. Ichika is classified as an usodere, which means that she lies constantly throughout the series. This is established early on when Ichika isn't telling her sisters that she is pursuing a career in acting. This quality is most effective when it is being used to enhance the drama, but it is also used to trick the audience and add to the mind games being played. Ichika plays an important villain role, constantly sneaking around and trying to get an edge on her sisters and steal Futaro for herself. My favorite of these moments is when one of the other sisters, Miku, is planning on confessing to Futaro after she scores the highest out of the 5 on the upcoming exam. Miku does well and is prepared to end the series right there, but then Ichika walks in, revealing that her scores are actually higher. But I gotta admit, I really started to hate Ichika as the series went on. I kept yelling at her to go away because she just sucks so much. But that isn't a bad thing. That just means that she is doing her job as a villain. Nino is up next, and her name is a combination of the Japanese word for two, which is ni, and no, which means from. I don't know how significant that is, but it seems too specific to not be, so we're rolling with it.
Nino is definitely the standout girl of the series. Shout out to that one dude at OhioCon 2023. You sat behind me at a Guess the Opie on the Friday of the con. He was carrying a Nino plush with him, and I don't know his name, but in my head I call him Nino Simp. Shout out to you. You're a cool dude. I hope you see this.
Anyway, all of the love that Nino Simp and his horde give to Nino is well deserved, because Nino is the best written girl in the entire series. Nino is a tsundere, so while all of the girls are opposed to having Futaro as their tutor, Nino downright hates him at the beginning. She literally drugs him in Volume 1. You know what? Worth. Nino isn't that great of a character at the start because her main trait is basically just yelling at him. In fact, when the popularity poll happened, Nino was the 5th most popular character in a series that has 5 girls. But shortly after the poll happened, we get the moment where Nino becomes a standout character.
I just know that Nagy saw those results, rubbed his hands together thinking that it was all going according to plan, knowing full well that he was about to make Nino the best girl in the series. I won't spoil specifically what happens because I want this part of the video to be spoiler-free, but just know that Nino shows off how well Nagy is at writing characters.
I already brought this girl up a little bit in Ichika's segment, but Miku is the middle of the 5. Not Hatsune Miku, you weeb. Miku's name is the word for 3, but using a different pronunciation system to the girls previously mentioned.
Ichika and Nino use 1 and 2 from the Onyomi way of pronunciation. The Onyomi way of pronouncing 3 is san, but Miku's name uses the Kunyomi pronunciation, which is me.
The second part of her name, Ku, can mean beautiful black jewel or 9. Miku is my favorite girl in Quints. She is super shy and very cute. Also, she is a gamer. Miku is the first of the girls to develop a crush on Futaro. Big asterisk, but no spoilers. Watching Miku crush on Futaro and try to flirt with him through her shyness is super wholesome to watch. Miku and Ichika also have a mini rivalry amidst the rivalry going on between all of the girls. Ichika's bitch moves directly affect Miku the most, which might be why I dislike Ichika so much. I've only had Miku for a day and a half, but if anything happens to her, I will kill everything in this room, including myself. Yotsuba is the penultimate quintuplet, and her name comes from 4, which is Yotsu, and Ba, which means leaf. Yotsuba is the sporty and peppy one of the group, but is also the dumbest. The others aren't great at school either, but Yotsuba needs the most help. She is also the one who appears the least interested in Futaro, because during the camping trip when Ichika and Miku were plotting how to make a move on him, Yotsuba was strictly focused on making sure he had a fun time. Wholesome. Lastly, we have Itsuki, whose name comes from Itsu, meaning 5, and Suki, which means moon. Itsuki eats a lot.
The girls in Quintessential Quintuplets are all great, and what's that? I wasn't fair to Itsuki. Well, neither was Nagy!
Itsuki is the character that lacks the most depth. Like I said, her main trait is that she eats a lot, but she also has some other traits that are similar to her sisters, like not getting along with Futaro, which is similar to Nino, or actually being diligent in her studies like Miku. It was probably intentional for her to have some similar traits to her sisters, and I'm sure I could find similarities between her and the other two, but it just makes her seem a little redundant at times. The other important thing about her is her connection to their mother, Reina. Their mother always wanted her kids to be close together, and Itsuki hopes to keep their mother's dream alive by making sure they stay together. All the Quints are like this, but Itsuki is the one most adamant about it.
Okay, that should keep the 3 Itsuki fans off my back. But the Quints are some fun characters, and they help make the series very compelling, but man, my only criticism is that we have 5 girls, and not a single one of them has a ponytail.
Yeah, baby! That's what I've been waiting for. That's what it's all about.
This panel was a gift specifically for me, but it's more than one panel that I like about Quintessential Quintuplets. My favorite part of the series is Nagy's writing style, which he shows off in key elements of the series. Like I talked about before, the story starts with Futaro about to get married to and this non-chronological way of telling stories is used all throughout, but the moment that I'm going to use as an example now is the final exams.
We have 5 characters who are all important to the story and all have actions and arcs during the exams, and if Nagy told us what each one was doing in the order it was happening, it would get a little confusing. So Nagy opts to tell the story of one girl all the way through in one chapter before moving on to the next girl. And while he is telling one story, he will lay hints to the stories of the other girls so that we know where their events happen in the timeline, and also so that our perspective of events will gradually increase over time. In the final exam, it starts with Miku's arc, which is narrow in scope. It just focuses on her learning how to make chocolates from Nino and her desire to get number 1 on the exam. But this helps lay the groundwork of the stakes of the exam, as well as setting up the moment where Ichika snipes the number 1 position, like I mentioned earlier. This is a fun and simple way to explain these individual arcs, and you are easily able to follow along with the constant let's go backs because of Futaro having a nosebleed at the start of every chapter. This clues you in that it is the same moment in time.
Negi Aruba is a fantastic writer, but there is one big frustrating element to this whole series, and it is the mind games that he is constantly playing with you.
There are so many moments where you think he is about to give you a hint, and then the hint he gives you is just not worth it. Like when Nino asks Ichika for her ear piercer so she can have her ears pierced before she gets married. And sure enough, you'll look at the bride from the beginning and her ears are visibly pierced. So is it Nino because she wants her ears pierced when she gets married? Or is it Ichika because hers are already pierced? It doesn't matter. You can get your ears pierced at any time.
You're a mind-bender!
This is infuriating to read, but it does keep you wanting to read. You need to see the ending. And with a compelling story and great characters, I think that this makes Quintessential Quintuplets a perfect 13 volumes in my opinion. Too bad there are 14 of them! I've kept this video relatively spoiler-free up until now, but there are so many things I have to say about this ending. So, if you want to avoid spoilers, click on this timestamp on screen now. Are they gone? Good! Fucking Yotsuba! Look, Yotsuba being the winner makes sense. In fact, I think because the way the series was written, you could have had any of the girls be the winner, and it still would have made sense. But it just seems like Yotsuba got picked because she was the last person you would expect. However, this isn't a bad end for her character. In fact, this is different from how a lot of these shows go.
Yotsuba is the childhood best friend. She was the first girl to fall for Futaro, as we see in flashbacks, but Futaro forgot all about Yotsuba, and so Yotsuba gave up on trying to get with him and tried to be his friend and support him.
Yotsuba's backstory made me cry so much, I had to take a break from reading the series for a day. But Yotsuba gets justice in the end and is the one that Futaro picks. It is a beautiful story arc about love being timeless. But man, I feel bad for Itsuki.
Itsuki's character arc has very little to do with Futaro. Her arc is all about keeping her sisters together and finding her own path forward into the future, which is a fun arc, but when it comes to her and Futaro, they start off bickering and then they just become friends. It just seems like it would have had more of an impact if they got together. But instead, Itsuki is the red herring, which is way worse than what any of the other girls got, especially Yotsuba. Itsuki tripped and fell so that Yotsuba could run.
Oh, devbrevyt, you're just upset because your girl didn't win. Incorrect! My girl was Miku, and I knew there was no shot in hell she was gonna win. What I'm upset about is how the series was handled post the reveal. Yotsuba is revealed to be the winner on the last page of volume 13. And since this is Negi we're dealing with, I called bull. He's been messing with the audience's heads the whole time. So obviously, this has to be a trick. But it wasn't a trick. Yotsuba is the winner. But instead of playing it straight and telling the ending, Negi keeps trolling.
Throughout Volume 14, Itsuki keeps wanting to talk to Futaro, and then on the wedding day, they play the quintuplet game where Futaro has to guess which girl is which. It is a cute moment because before, Futaro couldn't tell them apart, and now he can, but he jokingly guesses that Itsuki is Yotsuba.
We are 5 pages away from the end of the series, and we are still toying with the fact that it might still be Itsuki. Why? Because Negi refused to play the ending straight. I kept waiting for the reveal that Itsuki was the actual winner, because this series would do that. but it never came. Instead, I was on edge the entire time, waiting for a reveal that would never come. And because of that, I didn't get to sit back and just enjoy the ending. The mishandling of this ending honestly killed my enjoyment of an otherwise perfect series. Quince is a fantastic harem series, other than the ending. But despite the ending, I would recommend it to people, especially if they like romances. And because of the box sets, the manga is very easy to pick up. And the anime is concluded, so if you want to watch it animated, you can. But no matter how you watch it, I think you'll enjoy Quintessential Quintuplets. Just don't maul too much if your girl doesn't win. Who would do that? Anyway, please leave a like, comment, subscribe, ring the bell so you don't miss any notifications, and check out my video on 100 Girlfriends if you like this video. And as always, sayonara.